My brothers and sisters in Christ, yesterday in our first reading, Paul spoke about how we are disordered. The fact that our faculties are not aligned with one another, what starts with a misalignment of body and soul. And so our spirit and our flesh are not aligned. And then even within our particular faculties, whether it's our will, our intellect, our emotions, our appetites, whatever you may list, they're in a sense at war with one another. They're disordered. So now in chapter 8 today in the letter to the Romans, Paul begins to pick up this theme further and in a way that also aligns with our gospel passage. And that is, now what are we called to do? Well, baptized in Christ, the healing action has begun, and we're in this time of already but not yet. So if all of these negative consequences stemmed forth from original sin, in which man was estranged from God and all these other things flowed forth, well, where does God start? By setting us back in right relationship. And so when we are baptized into the death and resurrection of Jesus, we are restored to divine filiation. That is, we are sons or daughters of God. And in this, our souls are set right. Now, there's still some disorder, and it will take time. It is a process by which the rest will be set right. And this will go until the end of time, when we get the final resurrection of the flesh, the glorified body, which will be restored. Finally, a body restored to match the soul purified in baptism and by the grace of God. But in the time being, we're experiencing a reality where our spiritual life and the life of the flesh don't line up. And so Paul speaks here of the need to put this flesh to death to live in the Spirit. But it's important to understand what he means and what he doesn't mean here. So there are some early there were heretics in the early church that wanted to live completely, that hated the flesh, and we should want to be free to the body and kill the flesh, do everything this way. Well, the flesh isn't bad. The flesh is created by God. It's a beautiful gift. The problem is it's disordered for us right now by our own fault. And so the argument isn't that the flesh is evil or bad, but that the Spirit must take precedence over the flesh, because the Spirit is where things are set right. And through the life of the Spirit is how God will bring healing to the body as well. So in the gospel, we hear Jesus speak against the common opinion that the Jewish people had, that bad things only happen to bad people and that good people have good things happen to them. They kind of got the order backwards. They would see the successes or failures that a person had and use that as a test of whether they were holy or not. And so if everything goes well for you, it's clear that God is pleased with you. If everything goes badly, it's clear that God has found you lacking and is punishing you. Not so, says the gospel. The gospel says that the suffering we experience in this present life is a result of sin, of creation and ourselves all disordered. This inherently brings about suffering. But instead, those of us who live in the Spirit can offer this all back to God. The Spirit is immortal, and so the sufferings of the flesh and the world, and even death itself, cannot break us from our relationship with God if we subject the flesh to the life of the Spirit. Now, the flesh often is the means to temptation for us, to forsake the life of the Spirit, to indulge the flesh. And this is what we must avoid. But instead, we don't reject the flesh, but merely we subordinate it to the life of the Spirit. We pass on what the flesh wants now in order to pursue something that is greater, that is eternal. And we await, as said elsewhere, creation is in labor pains even to now until fulfillment. Well, we are in labor pains waiting for the final restoration, that things are set right with us. But for now, we are intimately linked with God, and we cling to that, because by his grace, he will bring us to the fullness of life. May God bless you.